All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel, OreoOlive.com, where Oreo olives don't mix, but the abstract thought of putting those two words together has enlightened me to create a channel to discuss various topics. And this is going to be a very sensitive relationship challenge that we definitely have to talk about. And I've said this a couple of years ago when first coming online is you can change people and tell what their attitude and their position is based on the conversation around race, religion, and politics. And this is most definitely a very good topic to bring into the mix because this is a very sensitive topic, as I said, related to the relationship challenges, belief system, and core values. But let's say that you love someone, the chemistry is strong, the vibe is real, but when it comes to faith and values, you are on two totally different pages. And this is going to hit home because people will say that they believe in something that you don't. And whether you believe it or not, you want marriage, they don't. You believe in saving, they are all about spending. And I've known people to be in relationships like that. So now you're asking, is love really enough to get us through this situation? And in this particular build and deal breaker episode, we're going to unpack the hard truths about relationships before they become lifelong regrets. Now, imagine that you are with someone who values faith. They go to church, they physically leave their house, they go to church, and you go to church and you pray and you try to live by the principles that ground you based on your readings and teachings about God, but your partner doesn't believe in any of that at all. Or worse, they say that stuff is not real. And this is where it begins to get ugly because maybe it's flipped. Maybe you're the one who doesn't believe in it and they want you to be something that you are not. Here's the thing: as people get older, they reach a certain point of age in life, they honestly are not changing for anybody, not even you, no matter how you look. Now, what happens when the values that drive your life aren't shared by the person that you sleep next to? Because here's the thing: a lot of you are sleeping with people and multiple people, and that chemistry may be there, but you may differ on a religious standpoint. And see, I always say that these kind of topics really get really start to fluff people's feathers because some couples do make it work. They can disagree politically, they disagree in the types of religions that they believe in. One may be very, very spiritual, one may not, but they agree to disagree respectfully without hurting one another because we all have feelings. We all have feelings that we have to get through. But you know what? They don't pressure each other to change because when people really want to change, they're going to change themselves. They're not going to change based on what somebody told them to do because we're no longer kids anymore. See, kids get told what to do, adults listen and they then make the executive decision on what they want to do next based on how they raise their kids with the mutual understanding. But if the values are different but not in conflict and you both prioritize each other, maybe you can just build. Now, we always have to look at it from the opposing perspective because if your values are consistently clashing, that is not enough because it is just not, it's that's just uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for you to even manage. It's unsustainable because faith affects how you raise your children. It also affects how you handle your money, how you view commitment. And if one person believes in marriage is sacred and the other sees it as a contract, They are building two completely different futures, two completely different households. I've always said that bedroom bank and baby begin to destroy relationships because people are on opposing views and topics around these, but you cannot force an alignment. You cannot force an alignment, and you shouldn't have to always shrink your truth to keep a relationship alive. So, ladies, some of you are shacking up with the men that you know that is not going to align with the values that you have. Fellas, you're so busy based on the looks of how a woman looks, she's not even in line on what you believe in, what your values are. A lot of you will crash out 100% just on looks alone. You don't even care about the values that that person's wanting to bring to the table. Do you even have any values at all? You can say, well, I didn't grow up with that. I didn't grow up with mother and father in the home. That's just a cop out and an excuse because there are people who have grown up in single parent homes that have done well. There are people who've been grown up in two parent household and have turned out absolutely bad. But when we take that into the perspective, let's be real about this. Love is not always enough. See, love is like that seed, but the value is the soil. See, this is now what we begin to become rooted at, because if you plant love in the wrong foundation, it will not grow. It will absolutely rot. See, we are missing some constructive information because we're so focused on the things that don't grow our relationships. But ask yourself this: can I live in peace with an indifference? Can I live in peace with the difference, with this difference that is taking place in this? Or am I just hoping that that person will change? See, this is not a build a bear. Ladies, you do not get to fix the man that you are with if he is not in line with the values that you are looking for. Fellas, that lady is not going to change the ways that she was back then if it's not meant to be. See, I like to look at the both sides of this from an accountability standpoint, but speaking as a man, there are things that you most definitely have to have in place, because if you want your peace, you have to find somebody, fellas, who is in line with the values that you are looking for, because those values could be instilled into the children that you all plan to bring into the world later on down the line. But here is the kicker, and I you know would say that often, if you have to suppress your faith, let me repeat that: if you have to suppress your faith in how you believe in God, if you have to suppress your morals, if you have to suppress your core beliefs to keep them around, it's already breaking you. You need to cut them loose and let them go. Period. There is no saving that situation. You have women doing that all the time. They was raised a specific way because their grandmother, grandfather may have raised them in the church, but then they get out here in the real world. And as I said on the last video, the weather and time will whoop you into shape. It's almost like you raising your child to be a specific way. You send them off to school and they get whooped all up and come back a whole nother different child. And now when they get into a relationship with somebody, they're destroyed mentally. They're not even on the same page. Their values have left. Their spirituality have left. But as we always do on the channel, I always like to leave you all with a question, and I try to make sure to get that in as well at any point during this. But have you ever been in a relationship where the values didn't match? And if you've had that situation, did you build through it or realize that love was not enough to keep the fire burning? So, as we go through this, I'm definitely want to continuously bring up these episodes because these are things we don't want to miss. We have to talk about it. Sometimes people don't want to receive the information. They will pick bits and pieces, but just break it down and see how this can work to better the situation that you're in. So most definitely people like, listen, and subscribe to the channel. And this just came to mind here, and it's a little bit kind of still within the same realm, but don't just fall in love with someone's presence just because they're there to take up space. What you should most definitely consider is make sure that you're not ignoring their principles, because when the honeymoon fades, the value always remains. So, like, listen, subscribe to the channel, oilolive.com. Look forward to bringing more content to you soon.